So the big question is this: how do young men like us, who didn't listen to society, who are on our own, how do we grow and improve ourselves so that we can live a better tomorrow? That is the question, and this show will give you the answers. My name is James Radzinski, and welcome to the Ascend Momentum Show. Welcome back. So this is the last episode I'm going to be recording before I go to Funnel Hacking Live. So I leave tomorrow morning at 3:30 and I have to wake up at around like 2, I think. So it's going to be an early morning, but I'll get through it. I'm going to take a couple naps, a few in the car and then a few on the plane, but I really think that this week will be a game changer. I think that this week will be really good for me. And for context, if you guys haven't been keeping up with my podcast, I'm going to Funnel Hacking Live, which is a business conference for entrepreneurs. It's like a 4-day live event in person. There's like 5,000 people in attendance. So it'll be fun and it'll be awesome. But in preparation for that, I actually finished reading Transurfing yesterday, the book Reality Transurfing, the book that I've been reading for the past 2 months. I just finished, just in time to start The Linchpin, which is a book by Russell Brunson. And the reason why I'm starting this book right now is because it's a fairly quick read. I feel as though I could read it within like a day or two. And I only spent like 30 minutes on it so far, and I already finished like 1/8 of it. So it's not going to be that long of a read. I'll probably be able to finish it on the plane, if not at the hotel tomorrow. But the reason why I'm reading it is because Russell Brunson wrote it, and he is going to be teaching about that. The Linchpin is basically one of his frameworks, and it's an essential framework for structuring your business. So that's why I'm studying it before, so I can get some background information. And I probably should have studied it like a lot earlier, but this is just how it happened. But I want to talk about just life in general. I don't know if it was just from me getting more and more better at meditation or transurfing, understanding it a lot more, or just a combination of the two. Because for the past couple months, I've been reading Transurfing for the second time through, and now I actually am applying a lot more of it in real life. Because the first read through, it was really just me destroying all of my limiting beliefs, and it was just destroying my worldview. It was mostly just a read of, is this even true? Instead of, okay, I'm going to implement this. I was like mostly just reading if it was true or not. But basically, I see the functionality of my first time reading it as me actually believing it, and then the second time through, me actually knowing it, like actually taking action and applying the principles and actually seeing them as real and actually putting them in my brain as knowledge and not just beliefs or information. And that's what I've been doing. Like, I've been waking up, I've been a lot more present, following coordination a lot more. I've been doing a lot more things, and I don't know if it was that. Like, it was probably just a combination of them all, but over the past couple of days, I've just been looking at the world a lot differently. And there are moments when I like basically fall asleep and I lose like my guard. I lower my guard, and then I like start going into like negative thoughts, but those moments are fewer and far further between than they used to be. And so I'm like, and I always catch them like fairly quickly. And I actually really like how I'm looking at the world now, because before I kind of just felt trapped. I didn't really know what to do. Like I didn't even know how the world worked, and I didn't know how I was going to achieve my goals, and I didn't know if my goals were possible. And I didn't really have as big of a vision as I do now. For example, maybe like a year ago, I wouldn't have even known it was possible to become a millionaire. And then, or at least for me, like obviously it was possible for others, but I don't know about me. But now, like, my beliefs and my just worldview is changing so much. Now it's not, is it possible? It's, when is it going to happen? And I'm just like waiting for the mirror to go, like, start reflecting an image back, like, because there's a delay period. And like I've been completely changing my mental outlook, because now I realize just how important your thoughts are. Because your thoughts, first of all, when you kind of let your thoughts go free and you react to physical reality, there's no real benefit for you to reacting to physical reality. Like, there's no benefit to react negatively to your world. But there's an immense amount of benefit if you control your thoughts and send your image out first, that you would like send the image in your thoughts that you would like to see first, and then let it stream into physical reality. Like, that actually has a benefit. And then I also want to talk about energy, because there's this one epiphany that I kind of came across. I don't know if it was today or I don't know, but I kind of just in passing came across this thought where in Transurfing towards the end, he actually said you have to like direct your energy into a thought. Like, you have to direct your energy into something for it to become streamlined into physical reality. And this is what I was thinking about. There are energy exercises in Transurfing, like the fountain exercise, where you imagine your energy going up and down your like spine through your meridians, and then creating a fountain over and under your head, enveloping you in a sphere of energy. So that energy exercise, me and my friend Franklin actually did like very consistently for like months. And I can't speak for him, but I can speak for myself on this regard. I was doing that exercise, but I wasn't directing my thoughts. My thoughts were still like uncontrolled. So I've kind of came to the epiphany that doing that energy exercise is not going to help you. It may even hurt you if you don't control your thoughts, because your thoughts, okay, so the way it works is you take in energy and then you program that energy through your thoughts, and then you like release those thoughts, that programmed energy, into the universe. So if your thoughts are already negative, then you're going to be sending out negative energy. But if you increase your energy through doing those exercises and don't control your thoughts, then you're basically going to be sending out an increased expenditure of energy output. So you're basically going to be sending out more and more energy outwards, like negative energy. So that may even be to your detriment. So that's why the negative or the energy exercises you should focus on as a supplement to controlling your thoughts. Controlling your thoughts should be your utmost priority, and then you work on increasing your energy. And that's a mistake that I made, because I was increasing my energy through doing those exercises, and to be honest, I don't even think that I really felt any more energy from using those exercises. And then, but I wasn't controlling my thoughts, and I was just kind of the that extra energy was probably being wasted. But now what I'm doing is I'm actually controlling my thoughts a lot more. Now I have this new perspective that when you clean up your thoughts, like if you ask people like what's your thoughts like? Are they like random, scattered? Like do they just have a mind of their own? Everyone will say yes. And there's this thing that I like kind of this conclusion I came to is a person's world layer is a person's world layer is a reflection of their thoughts. Like that's the principle of transurfing, the mirror principle. But you can actually like see, you can actually take a peek inside of someone's thoughts, like their worldview, their like everything that's going on in in their head. You can actually take a peek inside of that simply by looking at their physical reality. If their physical reality is exactly like what they want and it's very like orderly and they feel like they're in control of it, then they're in control of their thoughts. But if they feel like they're the victim of circumstance and they can't really get what they want, then they're not in control of their thoughts. So if you simply just take control of your thoughts, then you'll be able to actually fix your physical reality. That's another thing. So I found extreme benefit by visualizing my slide in meditation. And I did it for like a few days and then I stopped for a few days because I wanted to focus on getting to focus 10. But then I realized like it's actually beneficial. It's actually way better to visualize than not. And so I went back into visualizing it. But then for the past like 1 or 2 days, probably like probably past 2 days, I haven't been visualizing because I've literally been like asleep or like passed out during my meditations because for yesterday, I believe it was, no, Friday and Saturday, I did double episodes. And yesterday I went to the gym and I did some, like, for the past like 2 or 3 days, I have been getting to bed like 30 minutes late. And for context, I go to bed at 6:30, like literally 6:30 every single day. And it's very consistent. And I went to bed at 7 for the past like 3 days because I was like up late editing the past couple episodes of the podcast. And it actually messed me up. Like, it's actually so crazy how much 30 minutes of sleep affected me. Like, it didn't really, I could definitely tell like my energy levels were lower throughout the day, but I could especially tell in my meditation because usually during my meditation, I'm like awake the whole time and it's just a matter of me getting like my body to be asleep, getting my body to fall asleep. But for the past couple of days, I've literally just been asleep except for nighttime. Like the morning and afternoon meditation sessions, I've been asleep like the whole time, like until he calls you back. So I'm like, well, it's a 30-minute meditation and I'm awake for the preparatory process. But then once it's like a quiet period, then I fall asleep and then I wake back up like towards the last like 10 minutes probably. And so I'm like asleep in my meditations and it's not very optimal. So I don't know what I'm going to do moving forward because tomorrow I'm going to be waking up like extremely early. But I will have like 4 hours on the plane to take a nap. So that's going to be very good. And there's also another thing. Like I'm still a senior in high school. So I'm still in school right now. And this is going to be especially amazing experience because I'm still in school and I'm like getting over all these limiting beliefs of this like current worldview that's been placed upon me. and I'm getting over all of these like this like worldview that is holding me back, and the fact that I'm gonna be in Florida on my own, well, with my friend, but basically on my own in Florida during school. Like it just shows that you can escape. You can escape the rat race. Like you can control. You have the choice. Like you can control your own destiny. Like when me and my friend were first like thinking of doing this, we both like had no. We didn't even think it was gonna happen, to be honest. And even today, like even right now as I'm speaking, I still can't even think. I can't even fathom of the idea. Like it still does not feel real. Like to be honest, I am not excited simply because I don't know how to get excited because I can't even comprehend of the idea. It's so far out of my worldview that I can't even I can't even comprehend it. But tomorrow's episode, episode 71, 7 through like 76, I'm all going to be in Florida. Like I'm going to be right now when I'm recording this episode, it's the 25th of September. I believe this episode goes live on the 2nd of October. So that gives me 5 days. I believe 5 days to 5 or 6. Okay, so for the next like 5 or 6 episodes, if I find the time, like I'm going to try and find the time. I'm bringing my microphone. I'm going to use my friend's computer. I'm going to try and find the time to podcast because I have a priority system right now. So in my current routine, I basically have no time to do anything else. I basically have to do my routine and then I go to bed and I just repeat it. Like I have no time to do anything else. And that's my current routine with school. And school only lasts like 4 hours, but I assume Funnel Hacking Live will be probably like 8 hours every day. I assume it's going to be very long every single day. And so I'm going to have to like prioritize certain things that I do every day and every morning in my routine. I'm going to have to prioritize things and figure out what is number one. And for me, number one is podcast. Number two is meditation. And then I'm probably only going to have enough time to podcast and meditate. Like as long as I get at least one session of meditation every day and then one podcast every day, I'm going to be a happy camper because that will be enough to document the journey at Florida. And that's like only 2 hours because it takes 1 hour to record, 30 minutes to meditate. I would meditate first and then record. And then about 30 minutes to like edit. But that's pretty much like the plan for Florida. And to be honest, there's this one thing that I was thinking about because for the next, it's probably gonna be different during Funnel Hacking Live because there's gonna be a lot of guest speakers, not just talking about like business. But this is one of the things that I was struggling with early on in this show, where whatever book I'm studying at that moment, like whatever book I'm reading at that time of recording, will greatly affect how the episode plays out. And so my original, like this show is meant to be a self-improvement show. And I see entrepreneurship as a self-improvement show, but I kind of feel a little iffy talking about business because I don't really know who my dream viewer is. Like I don't really know who I'm speaking. I don't know who is listening to this. I don't know where you guys are in your journeys. So I'm not sure if business will be beneficial to talk about. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But I think that it will be fine during Funnel Hacking Live because the speakers are going to talk a lot about mindset. So I think I'm going to pick up a lot about that because I remember going to the 5-day Your First Funnel challenge, and that challenge, there was like 2 guest speakers every day, and they all talked about mindset. It was just only mindset, and that was amazing. Like I learned so much just from that. And so I assume that there's going to be 30 guest speakers, and I believe that they're all going to be talking about mindset. But that's where I'm at with that. My one mistake that I made when I bought my ticket was I bought a checked bag, a carry-on bag. Yeah, I bought a checked bag and a carry-on bag when I only needed just a checked bag, because you get a free like carry-on, a free personal item, which I'm going to be using as well. But honestly, back to what I was talking about, how my current book influences what I talk about. It's very evident, and it may be evident in the upcoming days until I go back to like these worldview books that I've been reading, because I have been reading Transurfing for the past 2 months. So I've had something to talk about for the past like 60 episodes, probably it was been. I've had something to talk about Transurfing for the past 60 episodes, but I haven't really, right now I'm just reading The Linchpin, and I just started it. So I'm not really sure like what to talk about here. Actually, I'm just going to give a lesson on The Linchpin. So far, what he's saying is your business, you have to have continuity. You have to have reoccurring payments, because if you just have like single time purchases, then you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to scale your business. And also when you want to sell, you're not going to be able to sell it for that much. And one change that he made was he was originally doing webinars and having his like on the thank you page of the registration, he would like send them to buy a book or something, just like a $37 to $99 offer, and that would kind of recoup the advertisement spent, and then whatever he sold on the webinar would just be profit. But what they changed was on the second on the thank you page, they actually got the people to start their free trial. So that sends them to create a free trial. So that gets them into their continuity, like reoccurring payment subscription. And then on the webinar, it's also an upsell into a big continuity package, like recurring payment. So that is kind of where I'm at with just chapter 1 of the book. And again, I'm going to be reading the rest of the book over the following days, and I'll be getting the lessons learned from Russell Brunson himself in person. So that will actually be something, I don't know. Honestly, there's a few thoughts going through my head with that. One thought is when I am sitting in class, like in a lecture, I don't remember anything. But then, so I'm kind of thinking if I'm sitting in Funnel Hacking Live, I'm not going to remember much. But then again, there's two differences. In class, I don't want to be there. Funnel Hacking Live, I want to be there. In class, the teachers teach they just say things. But at Funnel Hacking Live, they're going to be telling stories. And stories is exactly how you like remember things. So that's what I'm thinking with that. But I'm actually, right now, my current plan, once I'm done with the Linchpin and once I'm done with being in once I'm done with what is Funnel Hacking Live, once I'm done with Funnel Hacking Live, when I get home, my current plan is to dive into these 180 books, the ultimate reading list for human beings, something that I've been talking about for probably the past like month. And this reading list is something I really want to get into, and that's my current plans right now. But I have a suspicion that my plans may change after Funnel Hacking Live, because I'm probably going to want to read more about business, and I have a feeling that Funnel Hacking Live may completely shift my mindset again into going into business, like learning more about business, because right now I'm not doing anything for business other than podcasts. And I'm not doing, to be honest, I'm not really sure if I even have enough time to do anything for business. But then again, that is kind of just excuses, because I definitely have time throughout the day. It's just I decide to prioritize different things for different reasons. So I could absolutely free up like a few hours every single day. For example, one change that I'm going to make right away when I get home from Florida is, instead of biking all the way home after school to eat and then bike all the way back to the gym and then bike home, I'm just going to go straight to the gym from school and then bike home and then eat. That will be a change. And that's definitely going to save probably like at least 30 minutes to my day just from the bike and just from the bike ride, because that's like 2 less bike rides that I'd have to do. Yeah, 2 less bike rides. And it takes about like 15 minutes. So yeah, it would save me 30 minutes. And then another thing is, there's one thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately. Right now, I feel as though going to the gym is it's taken away from business. Even though I did like lower my gym time by a lot. I used to go to the gym 7 days a week, and now I'm going to the gym 4 to 5 days a week. I go to the gym 3 days on, 2 days off. But I have like even cut down my gym time once I'm there to like literally like 25 minutes to 30 minutes. And I still feel as though it's still taken away. So there's one thing that I had heard from my friend Saw Hamza video. One of my other friends, actually, not the one that I usually talk about. One of my other friends told me about what Hamza said. He said that when he was focusing on entrepreneurship, he was only going to the gym once a week just to maintain, because he wanted to focus all his time onto entrepreneurship. And he was just going to the gym once to maintain and not lose his muscle. So, like, I heard that when he said that like a few months ago, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to have it all. But I'm not sure if you can actually do that. So, I don't know. I've been trying to have it all, but like I said, I'm not doing anything for business except for podcasting, which is very good that I'm podcasting. I feel as though this will help me a lot, but I don't know. There's still like a lot that I could do, but the thing is, I'm not even sure if I magically freed up like 5 hours a day, I'm not even sure what I would do. Like when I was first getting into this, like a couple months ago, after I read all of Russell Brunson's books, I was like flowing with ideas. I had so much ideas. Like if you look back in my notebook a couple months ago, I was like writing idea after idea after idea. And then now I don't even know like where I would start, but I could, if I just sat down for a few minutes, I could like figure out where to start. And I could figure out like the most optimal way forward. But the thing is, I'm not even sure if it would be the most optimal way forward, because I've been, one quote that I remember from Transurfing is, people who are not listening to their heart are not makers. And I'm saying maker with a capital M, like that's the creator of your world layer. People who don't listen to their heart are not makers. They are making mistakes. And that's one of the very impactful quotes that I heard. And he said it towards the end of the book, probably like the last chapter. So that just shows like how important it is to listen to your heart. And I'm not really sure like how to listen. No, I'm just making excuses. I just have to sit down and figure it out. Figure out what to do moving forward. And if you guys have any product ideas, or no, not ideas. If you guys have any like problems that you're experiencing that you think I could solve, email me, james@ascendmomentum.com. And if I see enough people having the same problem, then I would solve it. And now this is me assuming that more people are actually listening to this show, which I haven't checked my analytics in a few weeks, so I don't actually know how many people are listening to the show. So could be a lot, could be a little, could be no one. I don't know. But this is what I'm talking about. I don't know what to talk about right now, and I haven't even I was just reading Transurfing yesterday, and I don't know what to talk about. Usually I would talk about exactly what I learned in the book today, but I didn't read Transurfing. So I'm going to have to figure out some other stream of information to talk about, so I don't just have like terrible episodes where I'm just kind of mumbling along. But I just figured out something to say. This morning I actually went fishing with my dad, and we went up to Lake Michigan, and we were at this one part. I think it's called Montrose Harbor or Montrose Bay or something like that. It's basically a harbor where there's a marina right near it, and the first time I went fishing, I've only been twice so far, the first time and today, but the first time we went to the same spot, except the way that it is it's kind of like a double-sided, let me explain. So there's land on one side, and then there's the lake, and then there's land. So there's kind of like this little island in the middle, but we were on the outside. We were not on the island. So last time we were on the outside, no fish, and my dad decided that we should go on the inside this time. And it was like a very windy day. It was pretty chilly. I was wearing a sweatshirt, and I was kind of shaking. I was shivering a little bit towards the end, but all around it was a pretty good experience. And there was this one spot where I was sitting, and I was sitting on this kind of like mini lighthouse where it was like a dock, but it wasn't for ships. It was just a dock that extended out for the lighthouse. And then the lighthouse was like, it was on a foundation of cement that was like raised above the dock. So I climbed up to that foundation of cement, and I would just sit there, and I mean, I was fishing, but I don't really consider what I was doing today fishing. I was kind of just sitting there enjoying the experience, the day. I was sending out the line, but I wasn't really worried too much about a fish. If my line like got a bite, then I would obviously, but I've never caught a fish. Even today I didn't catch a fish, but I was sitting on the lighthouse, and I was just looking out in the lake, and the view was amazing. So I could see the entire city on the right side, and then I saw the entire lake, and I couldn't see the other side of the lake because it's Lake Michigan and it's huge. So I couldn't see the other side of the lake, and the waves were very like, they were crashing about. They were even crashing like almost up to where I was. So they were very like wild and rapid, but I was looking out, and where I was standing, it was very cloudy, and it was like storm clouds. It was windy, and it was kind of drizzling, but it wasn't really raining that much. And then, so I was sitting in this like darkness, kind of, just enjoying the view. It was a very awesome view, just watching the waves crashing, just sitting there. And then I was looking out in the distance, like towards the other side of the lake that I couldn't even see. It was like bright. It was a very sunny on the other side. So it was such an awesome thing. It was so cool. I didn't have my phone because I don't bring my phone places. So I didn't bring my phone with me, but I would have taken a picture of that. That would have been awesome. But I'm glad that I didn't bring my phone because I wouldn't have had the same experience. That's what I noticed. When I have my phone, I'm not present. And even if it's powered off, but if it's in the proximity, then I'm like subconsciously thinking about it, and it's subconsciously affecting my thoughts and my actions. But I want to talk about meditation because meditation has been so valuable for me. I was I've been meditating for the past like couple months very consistently, multiple times a day, and I was able to experience that thing today at the lighthouse at the lake, and I was able to experience that. And especially now that I have this new understanding of the world, it just was it was a surreal, phenomenal experience. Because even when I was driving towards, even when we were driving to that spot, when we were on the car ride there, I was like looking out, and the world, I just see the world so much more different. Even though I've seen all of these places before, I just looked at them differently. They just seemed different when I was going today. And it just kind of goes to show that I am like moving towards my goals, even though I can't really see them, even though I can't really see the changes. And I am like definitely, my worldview is definitely changing. And like my lens on life is definitely changing, because I was like in awe just looking around at the outskirts of the city. I'm pretty sure it was Lakeshore Drive in Chicago. And it's like amazing looking out at the beaches and all the green, the grass, the lake, like all of that stuff. It was at like 7 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, Monday morning. There was few people out. It was awesome. That's another thing. Just to completely shift the topic, I want to talk about how most of my podcasts, I've been having a 5-episode like cushion, 5 episodes scheduled ahead of time. But right now, for the past couple of days, I've been having a 7-episode cushion, simply because I wanted to prepare for Funnel Hacking Live, just in case I can't upload for some reason or record. And I actually think that I want to maintain a 7-episode cushion, because I feel like it would be a better experience for you guys. Now let me explain. When I had the 5-episode cushion, I would say like today's Monday, but the episode wouldn't even like go live until like Sunday or something like that, or Saturday. So if you guys are listening live, like whenever it's released, then it would be harder to keep up with that when it is 5 days. But 7 days, I can say it's Monday, and then you guys will be listening on Monday if you're listening right when it's released. So you'll listen on Monday, and then you'll just have an understanding that it's 1 week in advance. So I think that I'm going to maintain a 7-episode cushion, because 5 episodes is fine. It's good, but I feel like it's unnecessarily confusing. 7 episodes would be better. But meditation, I have still not been able to get a breakthrough in my meditation. I'm just waiting for the day to come where I have a breakthrough. And honestly, I haven't even been really reading much about the Gateway experience recently because I haven't been at school in since like a couple days, and I usually read it during school because what else is there to do at school? Nothing. So I usually read about it at school, but I haven't read about it in a little bit. So maybe I don't know. I think I have enough knowledge to achieve Focus 10 because right now that's my goal, Focus 10, because then once I get Focus 10, I can move on to Focus 12. And that's what I really want to get to, Focus 12 and 15, so I can manifest and visualize. And I assume it's simply just practice. You just got to keep getting at it, because there was this one woman that I talked about that I read about on Reddit. She is a Buddhist, and she'd been meditating consistently for 14 years. She was probably only able to get Focus 12 once without the Gateway tapes. And then once she got the Gateway tapes, she was able to achieve she was able to complete the whole course and get like Focus 27 or whatever the last focus level is within like 3 months. So she had a very strong foundation. So that allowed her to actually like move on to the higher focus levels. So I assume that it's simply just creating a very strong foundation, and that's what I'm doing. But I've been focusing on the wave 1, which is Focus 10. But for the past like day or so, for the past probably like 3 or 4 meditations, I've been doing the introduction to Focus 12. For some reason, I just wanted to change things up, even though Focus 10, the free flow Focus 10 is more than enough, and it's probably more optimal to do that anyways. So yeah, I'll probably just go back to that. And there's one thing that I was thinking about doing, because I only did the like the introduction, the first tape on the whole set, like wave 1, the first tape. I've only done that once, but all the rest I've done multiple times. And so and also when I first did number 1, I was a brand new beginner at the Gateway tapes, and now I've been doing the tapes for almost 2 weeks now. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks into the Gateway tapes. And so I'll have a lot more experience. So I think that I might actually completely restart. Yeah, I'm actually going to do that tonight during my nighttime meditation session. I'm going to restart the tapes completely. Start at number 1, the introduction, which doesn't even get to Focus 10. It just gets to Focus 3. And it's like they basically introduce you to Hemisync. So I'm going to do that tonight because I want to actually restart it now with the better knowledge, because I feel like I was kind of just rushing through it originally because I wanted to just get Focus 10 over with and then get to Focus 12. But it obviously takes a little bit more work than that. So I'm going to restart it. And plus, it'll be a benefit because I'm definitely going to be giving the headphones and the CD player to my friend a few times this week to let him use it, because he's never used it before and I feel like he would like it a lot. So I'm definitely going to be letting him borrow that, especially since he's going to be letting me borrow his computer for like an hour and a half every day. Hopefully. We haven't set up schedules yet, but I'm definitely going to be prioritizing that. That's my biggest priority, getting that done. But man, this episode has been the first episode in a long time that I haven't really had anything to talk about. So I guess this is part of the journey, having dry spells, not really knowing what to talk about. But I'm going to have to figure out a solution to this quickly, because I assume that I'm gonna have so much to talk about over the following week, like over the next 5 days, but for the time being, like today, and I don't want it to get back to this when I get back from Florida. So it's kind of just like me just talking about random stuff. You know what? I'm just going to explain some transurfing because when in doubt, go back to transurfing. In reality transurfing, that is the probably the most foundational book that I've ever read. It basically explains the way the world works and how to like how to kind of maneuver yourself in that in the environment of the world and maneuver yourself in such a way to where you can actually gain more control than you otherwise would not have had. And I just learned about transurfing 6 months ago. And it's absolutely changed my life. Only 6 months. I'm only 18. I have my entire life ahead of me. And I'm definitely going to be reading about it a lot more in the future. Especially because the first book that I'm going to be reading when I get back, my current plan for when I get back, I'm going to be reading a book called Dancing After the Music Stops. Now, I'm going to be reading 7 books at once, but that's a whole thing. But one of the books is going to be called Dancing After the Music Stops. And in that book, it's a guy who actually discovered, he read that entire reading list that I was talking about. It was actually the person who compiled that reading list, the 180 books, the ultimate reading list for human beings. He compiled it. He said transurfing is the foundation to that reading list and the foundation to life. I bought his book. I read the introduction and I actually read the table of contents, and he has an entire chapter dedicated to reality transurfing. So I'm going to be reading more about it in that book. And plus this is actually huge because I was actually worried that I was going to kind of all of my transurfing knowledge and mindset and worldview was going to atrophy because when I first read transurfing the first time through, after I finished, I kind of just forgot about it slowly but surely. And like my actions were definitely going back to my old habits. But I just kind of switched to business books and I didn't really think about transurfing at all or read about it anymore. But my current plan of the books I'm going to read in the future when I get back from Florida I said I was going to have 7 books because there's the reading method that the guy who wrote Dancing After the Music Stops, who also compiled the reading list, he said that if you pick up 7 books at once, read one until you lose focus and then switch to the next and then repeat that. And then interspersed with push-ups every once in a while. And you can like read a book a day using that method. So apparently that method is extremely efficient at reading books. So I'm definitely going to be trying that out. And I already have the first 2 books in that 7-book set. One is called Dancing After Music Stops, which I just talked about. Another is called Die Wise. But I already bought those 2. They're already here. But there's 5 more that I'm going to be reading. And one of them is called Tufti the Priestess. And it was basically, it's another book by Vadim Zeland about transurfing. And it's my friend listened to the audiobook and he's basically saying that he basically said that it's like how to actually apply it and how Vadim Zeland would actually go about applying that transurfing technique in real life. So I'm definitely going to be still learning more about transurfing, especially because it's going to be in Tufti the Priestess, an entire book dedicated to transurfing by Vadim Zeland, the person who actually coined the term. But also or the person who's the author of the book, Reality Transurfing, but also in Dancing After the Music Stops, there's a chapter about it, so he's probably going to be referencing it throughout the book. And in the second set of 7, so the way it's going to work is I'm going to get 7 books, and then like as books are finished, as I finish books, because they're probably not all going to get finished at the same time, as I finish books, I'm just going to replace them with a new one. And what I'm thinking of doing is when I finish Toofty, I'm going to replace it with It Foot, which is basically like the prequel to Toofty. So that's another transurfing. And then eventually, depending on where I'm at, I'm going to replace It Foot with, depending if I actually feel I want it or not, I'm going to replace It Foot with the 78 Days of Transurfing. And I'm pretty sure that would be all of his books. There might be another one that I'm missing, but because currently I've only read one of his books, but there are like 3 other books: Toofty, It Foot, and then 78 Days, Beginner's Guide or something like that. And I've only read one of his books twice, and it's changed my life. So it just makes sense to read the rest of his books. And I assume, like all right, so let me explain this. There's something that I discovered. For the first like year of me reading, or no, let's say first 6 months of me reading, I was really just reading about mainstream stuff. Even like the first year, like my entire time reading, I've only been reading mainstream, like classic books like How to Win Friends, Influence Others, Way the Superior Man's, Breath, The Oxygen Advantage. All of these books are just like, they're good books, but they're just normal basic books that most people read. But one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this reading list is because these books I've never even heard of before, and they're not mainstream. They're definitely kind of esoteric, I think. Now, I've never heard of them before, so that's not to say that they are not mainstream, but they're not like classic books that I've seen on anyone's reading list. Like Hamza's reading list, MJ DeMarco's reading list, like all these reading lists that I followed because when I first started getting into reading, I would follow other people's reading lists. So I had a basic idea of many different books that are kind of common amongst all of these people. And this ultimate reading list like has the first 100 books, none of them are like common, but like the last like 80 books, a lot of them are common. So like The Way the Spirit Man is in that, like 48 Laws of Power, I read half of that. I didn't really like it, but that's in the ultimate reading list. So I'm gonna like read the first 100 books for sure, because those I feel are the most valuable, and then the last like 80 books I feel I'm gonna read, but not like they're not, maybe not. I don't know. I don't want to make a whole plan for 180 books because that's a lot of books. I've only read like maybe 30 books so far. I've only been reading for a year. But with this new reading method of reading a book a day, then I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Especially because in December, literally when I get back from Florida, it'll be October. So October, November, December. Literally like 2.5 months and I'm graduated. I'm done with school because I'm graduating early, first semester. So I already have a half day, but I'm also in 2.5 months, I'm out of school. So I'll have so much more time. And if I can get like a lot of books in, I mean, honestly, what I've been doing for the past year of me just getting so much books in and reading so much books has absolutely changed my life. And I haven't really done much. Like just reading Transurfing twice changed my life, even though I haven't really done much. Just reading the Secrets trilogy once by Russell Brunson changed my life, even though I haven't even done much. Like all I've done so far, the only thing that I actually took action on consistently, like I've taken action on, I built funnels before, I've built some stuff. Like I actually went in, reading those books caused me to expand my comfort zone because I wanted to build funnels for others. So I went through that whole comfort zone challenge of going into businesses. So that like helped, that changed my life as well. But the biggest thing that's changed my life is this podcast. I haven't made a single penny off of this podcast, and it's changed my life, because if you record 70 episodes one episode every single day for 70 days, like even less than 70 days, even on like day 50 or 40 or 30, I knew how valuable it was, because I'm actually starting to find my voice, and I haven't had really anything much of value to speak on for this past hour, yet I was able to fill up the time with a lot of different tidbits of knowledge and a lot of different things. That is simply because I've practiced 70 times. I practiced 70 times. And it also helps reading, like learning a lot. Like I probably would not have had nearly as much success with this podcast on a personal level as I have had if I didn't read as well. Because all of these episodes, like there's 8 episodes simply dedicated to one book, Transurfing. I've recorded 8 episodes dedicated to Transurfing. That's a lot. And a lot of episodes, like I'm pretty sure like probably 80% of my episodes I've talked about Transurfing, maybe even more. And so that book is amazing. Like if you guys have not even bought it, what are you doing? You got to go buy it right now. I actually want to tell you a story about how one of my friends, he actually is a junior. So I'm a senior, he's a junior. And it's evident that he's been on self-improvement for quite some time, maybe like a few months, maybe a year. I don't know. I don't know his story, but it's evident that he's been on self-improvement, and I am ahead of him, but I am a year older than him. So let me explain. Okay, so actually I'm ahead of him in current time, but he's actually ahead of me. So when let's compare me to him at the same age. So let's teleport me back 1 year ago today, and then compare that person to him. He has read a bunch of books already. And he just started Transurfing. I didn't start Transurfing until like 6 months ago. So I wouldn't have started Transurfing for another 6 months, but he is 6 months ahead of me on that. So he's definitely going to have a lot of progress, because he started reading Transurfing a couple days ago, and I can already tell that many things are changing in him. He is definitely changing as a person, and it's very good, because one of his friends that I don't really know, but I saw him, but my friend Franklin knows him, and he came up to Franklin and said like, "Hey, what's up?" the other day. And then it would have been awkward if he didn't say hi to me. So he was like, "Hello." And then I'm just going to say it's George. George is the person's name of the person who's on self-improvement, who's ahead of me, but not really, that I was just talking about. And he was like, "Hey, George Brainwasher." So that is the fact that he said that. It's just extremely evident that I'm really excited for, like, that just shows how valuable Transurfing is, because I've just told George about Transurfing and that's it. And I don't know. So take that story with what you will, because I basically forced George to. I basically went on Amazon for him and then had him purchase it with me standing in front of him. So if I could do that with you, I would. So buy it. Just get Transurfing. All right. So to wrap things up, don't forget to download your favorite episodes and subscribe to the Ascend Momentum Show. But before you guys leave, make sure to look up at the sky.